Really proud of our team. As we all know, it's been a long 8-9 months for everybody, and the ups and downs that our players have all across the country and our conference had to go through of, going home at the end of spring semester without finishing spring ball, to the summer, to the cancellation / postponement of the season, to persevere through all that and then get a chance to play, for us 5 games, and I'm really proud of our guys and our staff. Looking forward to the opportunity to return to Detroit and Ball State. Credit to Mike New. Congratulations to him and his staff and program, because he's done an outstanding job the last few years really building that program, and we look forward to it to be an exciting competitive game.
Mary Margaret, your microphone's open.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jeremy. Hey, Coach. First of all, just kind of talk about what this means to you and to this team to be able to return to the MAC championship game, like you said, after such a up and down, topsy-turvy couple of months for you guys.
Well, it means a lot to get a chance to play. Our goal was to try to play as many games as we could this season, and to get that is one point of it, but to play for a championship. And as you've heard me say many times on a weekly basis, looking for consistency, looking for winning consistency in our program has been the goal since our arrival. And, to be able to do that here really the last 4 seasons, and to, return to Detroit for the second time in 3 years, we're starting to reach some of that. Now we've got to find a way to cap it off and find a way to win a MAC championship. And, but all that is exciting for our players, and I know they're excited for this opportunity.
What do you anticipate seeing against Ball State this weekend on Friday? What are some of the toughest things you guys think you might face?
They're an experienced football team, and that's kind of what I said in the opening statement. I really credit Mike, and I have a lot of respect for him. He's a great person. But, I kind of say quietly behind the scenes, he built the program that he wanted. And when you start looking at that depth chart, you see a lot of redshirt juniors, redshirt seniors, graduate players. So they've done it the right way. They've built depth, and it's an experienced team. And you can see that physically on their team, on how they go about playing it. They're a physical football team on both sides of the ball. A very talented quarterback who's got running backs that are bigger, more physical backs that are downhill runners, a receiving core that's extremely athletic. And Justin Hall is one of the more dynamic players in this conference. They want to get the ball in his hands as many times as they can, and he's difficult in space. And that's going to be a big challenge for our defense.
All right, next we'll go to Jonah Bronstein. Jonah, your microphone is open.
Thank you. Lance, what has this week been like for you and your staff with the short prep for a team you haven't played in a few years, signing day, all the different media responsibilities with the championship week, being ranked? Can you take me through how this week has been for you and your coaches?
Well, I say today's been one of the more hectic days in a long time, that's for sure. And, what we try to do, though, is keep it as consistent for our players and the assistant coaches as possible. And that's, I guess as the head coach, there's things that you need to do, such as this, that maybe, but for the day-to-day, for the players and the coordinators, we try to keep that consistent, and I think they've done a good job. Short week, yeah, we knew last week, even through the canceled game, there were some times we tried to gain a little bit of time to prep for either opponent that was possibly going to be there. And then, of course, on the short week, we turned around, after the Akron game. Yeah, nice benefit to be playing at home, but many coaches stayed through the evening to start their prep, brought the players back on Sunday, and, quickly turned the page. Didn't spend really any time on the review of Akron, and, started, did an hour walkthrough on Sunday. So, and kind of moved from there. So they're excited. The other obstacle, we're going through finals right now. And so guys got a lot on their plate. So we're trying to balance their time, continue. Hopefully they're getting rest while they're trying to take care of those obligations. But excited for tomorrow morning because once you get on the bus there, I mean, we still have some guys who have to take some finals while we're in Detroit, but then you get to turn the page and, really focus on getting ready for that game.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to Joel Gadette. Joel, go ahead.
Hey, Lance, how are you?
I'm doing well, Joe. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Looking forward to Friday. You guys obviously were there in 18. What is having been there in 18 and the way that game played out for a lot of guys that are still on your roster? How does that play into this year and having that experience and not wanting to have that taste again and all of that rolled into now getting a second shot?
For the ones that have been there, it's a sour taste. There's no doubt about it. It's very disappointing, that game and the way that season ended. So I think the maturity of within that locker room of the ones that were there know that a great week of preparation is needed. You have to play 60 minutes and finish strong. And of course, we're not going to have fans, but the experience for those guys to help out our younger players on what that is. And our Michigan players many of them have played playoff games there and state championship games. So there is something there, and they kind of talk about it, and all those things help. You hope those, just like anything in life, really, Joel, it could be, everything's a learning experience. And, we talked about that in this short season about, some games that we felt last year slipped away from us. And I think we've had great focus during a lot of those weeks, and our players have responded well.
All right, next we'll go to Greg Vorse. Greg, your microphone is open.
Hey, Lance, how you doing today?
Doing well, Greg. How are you?
Oh, hanging in there. For you guys, you already answered what you need to do against Ball State and their offense. But when your team is clicking like it is right now with your offensive line, with your running backs, how much is it, let's just do what we do and we know we'll take care of business?
Well, you feel good about when you're executing well that you have a chance for success. But we never want to take anything for granted. Offensively, we've played extremely well. We want to, this is a game where, we need to be excellent in both phases. We need balance. We've talked about that many times, Greg, as you know, on our weekly calls, and this is going to be one of those games. It's no secret to anyone that, a lot of people are going to say to stop us, you got to stop the run game, and there's going to be ways they're going to find to try to slow us down, stop us. So we need to have everything ready. It's not as easy that we can just show up and think we're going to run the ball and run it all day long. So we know that, and we got to have answers for everything. But yeah, is confidence, I don't want to say at a high, but it's, we're a confident offensive football team right now. And that's good. I mean, it's, they've worked extremely hard as an offensive unit. Our offensive coaches have worked hard to get us to this point of that we established our identity and what we want to be, how multiple we want to be, and go out and get it. But, we're going to need all three phases to play well.
You mentioned all three phases. You guys have been able to be opportunistic, if you will. That one game, you had the 3 defensive touchdowns. You had Hill with the blocked field goal touchdown last week. A little more, if you will, on those other 2 aspects of the game. So much is made about your offense, and rightfully so. But you can't sleep on what your D and then special teams has done. If I was in a MAC fantasy league, I would want that group on my team.
Well, again, last year, you go back one season, our defense was rated top 10 nationally in a lot of stats. College football, it's, a lot of points are being scored. Things are, rules are put in there to kind of benefit that there is high offenses and output and things like that. But I think our defenses continue to play well. I think at the beginning of the year, we were hit with some injuries that strained our depth a little bit. But one thing about when you persevere through those things, you're developing depth for your future. And I think as guys have gotten some on-the-job training, it has definitely helped us. I think, as a whole group, we talk a lot about Jarrett Patterson. One thing that we haven't really talked much about this year is the play of James Patterson, how well he's played. Not only has he played well, he's moved into the middle linebacker spot. He hadn't played it in this program other than, maybe repping some as a backup. And to take over essentially being the leader and the quarterback of the defense, he's done an excellent job. And with that, we're going to need another defensive performance from guys like him, Malcolm Kuntz. You mentioned Tyrone Hill. It's going to take everyone. And I mentioned earlier, their receiver core, specifically Justin Hall and his quickness and explosiveness. We're going to have to tackle well. We're going to have to rally to the ball. Last week, actually the last couple games, I think if we play well on first and second down and force longer yardage passing down, so to speak, we can start doing some of the things that really are effective in our package. But that'll be easier said than done. Special teams wise, I'm really proud of how we've come along. I think Ron Cook has shown his abilities in the return game. It's for most of our time here, and to my fault is that probably in that area been overly conservative, but we've been existing in special teams and sometimes not even that. And to see Ron Cook do well, to see us block a kick and take it for a score, those are momentum changers, and those are things that have been big for us, help us in field position, doing those things. And again, another phase that we need to continue Friday night.
All right, next we will go to Rachel Lindsay. Rachel, your microphone is open.
Hi, Lance. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. You're being mentioned as a candidate for some Power 5 openings. How do you negotiate that this week, and keep your team focused as they're preparing for a conference championship game?
Well, you say we're preparing for a conference championship game, and that is the focus. That those things can be flattering. It's a tribute to our players and our staff, but again, we talk to our players all the time about being where your feet are at and being focused on those things, because speculation, though flattering, it can be distracting, like you said, and we're all locked in on this game. You never know what those things can be. I said it earlier on a national radio show. I said, we're 2-10. People, other schools told recruits that, why would you go to Buffalo? They're not going to be there much longer. Then we won 10 games and they say, why would you go to Buffalo? They're not going to be there much longer. So it's people like to play those speculation games, and we're going to focus on Ball State and finding a way to win a championship.
And to follow up on that, Kevin Marks had a big game on Saturday. Overall, what kind of growth have you seen in him in his time at UB?
We have seen tremendous growth in Kevin Marks, the person, and his maturity. Excuse me. I'm very proud of Kevin, because in the situation that he's in, the success of Jarrett Patterson, it could be very easy for him to be unhappy, disgruntled, a distraction, and he has been anything but that. And again, Kevin Marks showed everyone last weekend, really what type of player he is, and I think he's done it in a lot of other ways this year. He's on almost every special team, and he's done extremely well there. I think he and Jarrett both have come to a great understanding that they're good for each other, not just, and they're happy for each other's success, but not just coexisting in a room or on the field. They know and see the value of each one and how they play the game and how it adds a little bit something for each one of them. And that's exciting, because that's what great teams can do. And when you're unselfish, you have a chance to be more successful as things progress. And Kevin's done that. And like I said, I'm really proud of him.
All right, next we will go to Paul Peck. Paul, your microphone is open.
Hey, Coach, how are you today? over the last couple of years, we've seen sort of the personality of your team be in some ways a little bit opposite of what the rest of the league is. And maybe specifically, I refer to a little more emphasis on defense and physical offensive line and the running game. Was that a conscious decision at any point, maybe when you got into the league or as you saw how the league was evolving around you, to maybe build your team a little differently than the other teams in the league?
I can't say that we said, hey, let's try to be different than everyone in the league. I think our plan from the start was to try to build the best football team we could with the best players and people that we could get to come to Buffalo. And that has been molded as we've gone along. We've, whether it be in our recruiting plan and our areas of where we found players, like, right now, the DMV area is within 6 hours of us, has been very beneficial to us, and those players have continued to help us recruit other players because of their experiences here. But I've also felt that part of it is that when you get to this time of the season, even in a shortened season, whether it be, if you're going to play in December or January for a bowl game or for a conference championship, you better be a physical football team. And you need to be physical for the duration of the season. So part of that's been, yes, a mindset, but it's not directly to be opposite of anyone. We take pride in how we practice. We take pride in the practice model that we try to keep our players as fresh as we can for game day. And I think those things have been embraced by our players. And I think and again, we talked about a lot of these guys and how they've embraced it and helped lead and spread it through the locker room.
Somewhat of a follow-up to that is the running game specifically. You lead the country in rushing. I don't think there's been a non-option team that has led the nation in rushing, maybe inside of 7 or 8 years. Just as sort of a student of the game that you are, when you look at that, what's your reaction to that, knowing the direction that college football has kind of gone in the last 5 years?
Well, I really, I didn't know we were leading the nation in rushing until you said it, but I figured we'd be up there. Again, do what you do best, okay? And don't apologize for it. And, but again, as you know, we've still maintained to try to be multiple. And again, we think we have talented receivers, talented tight ends. And, but right now, if number 26 is carrying the ball and you're getting a good chunk on first down, until they can slow you down a little bit, we're gonna keep doing that. So, philosophy of what it's been and where college football is at. Like I said, 2017, 2018, we took a lot of shots down the field because we had some players on the outside who are now involved in NFL organizations on the field. It doesn't mean we don't now, but I think we have a couple in the backfield. So we're kind of playing to our hand, and that's part of the offensive philosophy the most, is that we want to be as multiple as we can to play to our strength each and every year.
Okay, we have some follow-ups here. Joel Gadette, your microphone is open.
Yeah, Lance, I'm just curious. I don't know how you would answer this, but how would you defend Jarrett Patterson?
Sneak an extra guy out there. I don't know. That's a good question. I'm glad I don't have that problem. We talked about Ball State's receiver, Justin Hall, is that you need to tackle well, and you need, in those things, but he's so dynamic and patient. And the other thing that sometimes I get asked these one-word things to describe him, and it's impossible because it's the package that he brings. And the one that doesn't get talked about also, to me enough, is his balance. And he's got outstanding balance when he gets hit. And so those things are there, but I'm not doing a very good job answering it. And if I had a really good secret to it, I probably wouldn't share it, at least for a few more, hopefully, weeks, months, years, until he leaves.
Thanks, Coach.
Another follow-up, Jonah Bronstein. Jonah, your microphone's open.
Lance, I'm wondering what goes into your decision each week to to decide who wears number 41. And with the type of performances, career days that people are having wearing that number lately, Jarrett said it gave him superpowers. Does that play into strategy at all? Thinking like who you want to put that number on coming into this game?
Like, who do we need to have the next biggest game?
Yeah.
No, there's some different factors. You know, we look at people as much as, you know, whether it been longer term or shorter term. Are they, you know, obviously we can't have any offensive linemen wear it, unfortunately, but we look for, you know, guys that are emulating some of the traits that Solomon Jackson had when he was part of our program. Unselfish team player, the betterment of the team, you know, a great teammate, a guy that has positive attitude, smile on their face, just different things. And I know the question that was earlier about Kevin Marks, and Kevin wore it last week, and part of it is he earned that because of his unselfishness. You know, Jarrett was when I had to have John Fuller, our sports information director, to give me the list of everybody that's wearing, and somehow a bad oversight by myself was Jarrett had never worn it before. A couple of guys have worn it twice, but somewhere along the line, and that's also the compliment to Jarrett for his steadiness of what he does. I just assumed he had worn it sometime before, and I hear I never had given it to him. And so we kind of spread it around that way in different ways. Like Evan Finnegan, everything that Evan came back with a great attitude and positive after breaking his leg last year. Eric Black, it was a guy that wore it because, you know, he really overcame some injuries and did some things as a former walk-on. You know, there's a different guy in there that has a little different set of reasons why they get it, but they're all part of who Solomon Jackson was when he was here. And that's how kind of we decide.
Thank you.
All right, we will open the microphone up to Mike Harrington. Mike, you're now able to ask a question. You're muted still. There you go.
Yep. You mentioned earlier about, you know, obviously the offense gets most of the notoriety, and you guys were in control of last week's game on both sides of the ball really well. Kent State scores and gets yards on everyone, but you certainly were in control against Akron. I'm just curious to get your thought on what gives you the hint when your defense is really on the day. Is it the physicality, like you mentioned? Is it mentality? It just what makes that side of the ball tick?
Oh, Mike, that's an excellent question. I think there's different things based on the opponent. I thought last week, you know, maybe with the week off and something, but I was really, you know, you're worried about tackling sometimes. You know, a lot of coaches are based on just right the way the season went, fall camp, lack of spring ball, doing those things, how much contact and interacting you're doing with your players, all that. But I thought we tackled really well last week. I thought our second and third level players played downhill as best they had all season. You know, that's one factor. Against certain teams, you know, some games this year we haven't been as good on first and second down as we'd like, and you know, third down they can dial up a lot of different things and stay within their quick game, their RPO game, things like that. Last week was one of those weeks that we really won on first down and forced them into hanging on to the ball longer when you got the third down. And you start doing that, it gives you the opportunity to get pressure on the quarterback. So those are the type of things that we look at. You know, I still think we've played pretty good red zone defense all year. Like we've tried one field goal all year. I think our opponents have definitely, you know, even though it's only been 6 games, probably, you know, 8 to 10, I think, opportunities there. So those are things that I think our defense in an unsung way has done a really good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And one final question before we get to the student athletes. Jonah, we will go to your last follow-up if you have one. Jonah, your microphone's open.
Yeah, Lance, I just wanted to ask real quick. Alex Mcnulty made the All-MAC team. He hasn't made a field goal. You really haven't had to attempt one except that late one. How do you feel about that phase of the game, having not had those kind of game reps in the regular season?
Well, yeah, you know, we haven't had to, and there's, you know, there's different reasons for that. I think we've Offensively, I've definitely changed. I guess maybe as a head coach, I've changed philosophy on the amount of times we've gone for it on fourth down. Win conditions later in the year here are a little bit different. But I think Alex Mcnulty also received all conference recognition for his kickoffs, which I think he's been outstanding at this year. It's not just, sometimes we think about the kicker and it's, you know, we all assume the extra points are going to be good, but it's also based on field goal kicking. I think, you know, people take a look at the amount of touchbacks and things of that nature that he has had this year. I think that's part of where he was respected by the other coaches in this league.
All right, Coach. Want to thank you for your time once again this afternoon, and you know, best of luck on Friday night, and we'll see you up in Detroit.
Thank you, Jeremy, and appreciate everyone being on.
Yep.